to join in, hear more about two programs offered by University of Milano-Bicocca. And before we go over to them in Milan, my name is Milling. I'm the moderator of today. So I'll just briefly explain some of the options you have. So you join in to hear about these programs, as mentioned, the Masters in Materials Science and Nanotechnology and Economics and Technologies for Sustainability. What those two programs are all about, we'll hear from the actual professors. So we have them with us. You can, first of all, you can interact with us in different ways. So you can write us in the chat where you're logging in from. So by all means, thanks to do that. So it's nice to see the variety of countries joining in. But if you have any questions, please do that through the panel next to it, called questions. There we can, you can write them at any time, and we'll be answering the questions at the end. Also, I'll be opening up a couple of poll questions. I'm actually opening up one right now, just to get to know you a little bit better. So, for example, what is the most important to you in selecting a university program? So thanks to let us know. And last but not least, we have a little fun button as well to make it even more interactive and a little bit more fun. Is a button at the bottom of the screen called React. So if you click on that, you can give a reaction of your choice. Exactly, one of those, just to make it a little bit more fun and interactive. So without further ado, let's go over to Anna in Milan. She will introduce herself and then lead us into the presentation. Thanks, Anna.
Hi, thank you, Luke, and hello to everybody. My name is Anna, and I work for University of Milan-Bicocca. I'm in the International and Marketing Recruitment Office. So now I will just briefly, like 5 minutes introduction to university, so especially regarding fees, how to apply, and a few numbers of our university, and then I will leave the floor to professors in order for them to talk and speak about the programs that this webinar is about. So we can start with the first slide. Thank you. So a few numbers about University of Milan-Bicocca. So we count around 40,000 students. So we are a quite big university. We are located, of course, in Milan. We are one of the two universities, public universities of Milan, and we count more than 2,000 international students from all over the world. This is something we are very proud of, and of course we are willing to increase these numbers as much as possible, and that's why we are presenting these programs, these two programs, especially to you today. We count more than 85 programs of these. At the moment, 17 are taught entirely in English, meaning that you are not requested to know any Italian in order to get it. Two of these programs are the one we are speaking today, Material Science and Economics and Technologies for Sustainability. How to apply? I think this is something very important to you. We have a dedicated platform on our website, which is called apply.unimi.it. It's a very user-friendly portal entirely dedicated to our international students. So now we are in April, so the third call is now open, but for free and limited access program. If you are a non-European student, you need to apply now until the end of April. Otherwise, you won't be able to apply for visa after that. If you are a European citizen or a non-European citizen, but already resident in Italy, you have time until September to apply. But please check each program carefully, each program website and page, because of course you need to carefully read the call for applications. Of course, you need to have all documents well prepared before applying, especially if you are going to ask for the recognition of your diploma. If it's gained abroad, you need to have the statement of verification or statement of comparability. Then you need to consider also university application. This is very important for you if you need to apply for study visa. Study visa application is possible only on university portal website. So the deadline for this year is 31st July. It's very important that you apply earlier than that. And then, of course, once you will be admitted to the program, you need to proceed with the interview or the appointment at the embassy in order to bring them all the documents required for you in order to get study visa and come to Italy. If you need a certification of Italian language, because of course it's also possible for you to apply for programs entirely taught in Italian if you have Italian proficiency. The talk is needed until before the 31st of July. The deadline for arriving in Italy is the 31st of January 2027. And then within the end of February, you will need to meet us in order to have all the documents verified and checked by our offices. Last words about fees. I think this is something very important for all of you. So the first installment, which is needed to pay when you are admitted and you want to secure your admission, is 150 euros. Then the second installment is a fixed contribution depending on your country of residence. Basically, we have divided international students into 3 groups on the basis of their citizenship, and the average cost is around 500 euros per year. But the maximum in any case is 1,000 euros per year. So very, very low fees. Apart from that, you also have the chance to get scholarships. We offer many kinds of scholarships. Some are given by the Ministry of Education. Others are given by the regional, Lombardy region, so a regional scholarship, mostly based on income, on family income. And also, we offer Bicocca International Scholarship Program. It's a very good opportunity because you can get until 10,000 euros a year, plus enrollment fees exemption. And also, this is renewable for the second year of your study if you have at least a certain number of credits. You need to have passed at least a 70 or 80% of your credits of the first year. You are automatically awarded for this scholarship. No need for separate application. It's a merit scholarship, so it's based on the documents you have uploaded into our application portal in order for you to be admitted. There are ranking lists based on your documents, so on the merit. Yes, this was everything I wanted to say. Of course, you can find all this information on our website. But now I want to leave the floor to Professor D'Arienzo and then Professor Lange for the presentation of their programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I think I can start. Hello, my name is Massimiliano D'Arienzo. I am professor of inorganic chemistry at the Department of Materials Science at the University of Milano-Bicocca, of course. And today I would like just to introduce you to the Materials Science and Nanotechnology Masters. That is, let's say, in continuous evolution, since material science, as you know, is something that is very dynamic, especially in these last 10 years. So if I can share the slide, okay, we can go on, I guess. Okay, and I would like to start saying you, okay, what is a material? Because it's the first question that we want to answer whenever we deal with material science. And of course, if you ask to ChatGPT, you can find this answer, any substance with specific properties that make it suitable for a certain use. So one can ask, I am a chemist, so I can ask to myself, which is the difference between a chemical compound and a material? Chemical compound, of course, is an aggregate of atoms and molecules, but when it becomes a material? It becomes a material when it is thinked for a specific purpose or function. So the same aggregate of atoms and molecules is designed already for a specific target. That's the difference, and that's the real definition of a material. You can go on. And if you think about the history of the humanity, the progress of the humanity was parallel to the progress of the material, starting from the Stone Age to the Iron Age, and then coming to the most recent history. You can find other material that follow line step by step the life of the humanity. You can go on. And go on. Okay. And this is the today what we have in this last century, let's say the Silicon Age, the era of the nanotechnology, and most recently the quantum computing and the artificial intelligence. So about, let's say, a few words on the Silicon Age. Transistor is the main important material that we had in the mid of the last century. And if you think the evolution of this material along the years, it goes very far, considering that today more than 6 billion of people use internet, and you can find more than 5 billion, over 105 billion of transistors packed in a small area in the CPU, in the modern CPU. And again, another important, let's say, material is plastic. We have let's say, the last Nobel Prize in chemistry in Italy, Natta, who discovered accidentally, we will say, the polyethylene and then the polypropylene. And this is the basis of everything. And for instance, one of the most used application is tire, very important in the frame of materials. And again, the era of the nanotechnology and the famous statement of Richard Feynman, and there is plenty of room at the bottom, the era of the nanotechnology that is still growing in everyday life. And more recently, as I said, the artificial intelligence era and the benefit coming from quantum computing. This is something that we are approaching also in our last years in terms of new courses and new possibilities for students here at Materials Science Department. So, and another joke I want to tell you, what you see here now is a can of Coke, standard can. It's aluminum, manganese, and magnesium. But if you make a simple experiment here, the video is not charged, but okay, we can think about that. We make an experiment, we just put this can inside the soda solution. What you can find that there is an ultra thin plastic film inside the Coca-Cola can that protect this the alloy of aluminum, manganese, and magnesium to the corrosion of Coca-Cola that contains acid. So actually you discover, and this is the message, you discover a material whenever you study really the chemical composition, the structure, and also the interaction of this material with other form of energy or other material. And this is what we do every day here at the Material Science department. So coming to our core business of today, what is really material science and nanotechnology? It is an interdisciplinary framework of between condensed matter, solid state chemistry, and the touch of engineering, which is, in our view, like a clover, okay, where you put, where you can find the real recipe to understand what is and which are the application for the material. So which are the goals of the master in material science and nanotechnology? Of course, innovation and sustainability. This is something that we cannot avoid in these days. The mission is to design, of course, and create material with new properties and function. And as an instrument, we can utilize, of course, the creativity and improve our skill in knowing how to synthesize, how to apply, and how to characterize these materials. And here I just put several examples of the application and also the field of research that we have in our depth. And as you can see, we span from hydrogen technology to sustainability, solar cells and photovoltaics, nanomedicine, quantum computing and artificial intelligence, catalysis, and also batteries. So many, many things we do together with materials. And this is an example that I want to show you. This is, if we can share the video. This is a spin-off that was born apartment. And this is all the glass. And this spin-off made basically a new window. These windows we have inside small nanoparticles called quantum dots. These nanoparticles are included, basically absorb solar radiation and to capture this solar radiation along the border of the window. Now you can see the mechanism. Something very easy, and on the end of this window, you can find photovoltaic cells. This photovoltaic cells convert the energy conveyed by the window into electricity. So you absorb solar light and directly you convert it to electricity, giving electricity to your office. That was founded here in the department and now has scaled up the production of this window in Rovereto nearby, not far away from Milan, in the north east part of Italy. Very good. And another example is our collaboration that we have with Pirelli. This is just 1 kilometer from here. And we are in the let's say, our department was a storage of the tire of Pirelli before that the university came. So with them we collaborate and we produce tailorable formulation for tires thread. And here you can see an example that was developed actually in our department, in our labs, and now it is a product that is commercialized by Pirelli. And again, another example, material science for sustainability. As I said, and inclusivity, this is an example of a researcher coming from Iran, who developed an idea to capture throughout a specific treatment of membranes, water from the fog. I don't know if you know that in Iran there is no water. Of course, it is a lack of water, but also there is this kind of tower that absorb the fog and transform and condense the fog into water. She studied actually suitable membrane in order to enhance this capture and to, in this way, collect water from fog. And this is another example. So coming to the core of our educational program, of course, there are three main field higher education programs: scientific research, technological transfer to industry. And these are concentric in developed by the Master in Materials Science and Nanotechnology. These are listed in the slide, the learning objectives that of course are very broad, but what I want to focus now a little bit more, there are the 4 possible study tracks and the double degree pathway. So we have a study track on functional material for nanotechnologies, materials for energies, material for digital and quantum technology, and the dual degree in sustainable materials. This dual degree, and also for the master, you can apply if you have a degree in engineering, in chemistry, in physics, and of course in material science. And you can have courses in English. You can share your experience with a lot of international students. The proportion are here listed. You can have the opportunity to complete also your master thesis in another country, and now we will see where. You have a strong mix of experiences from around the world and across diverse fields of knowledge, and you can have a training also in partnership with several companies. And here some detail of the dual degree that is called SUMA, that is financed by the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, IIT, in which University of Milano-Bicocca is core partner, together the University of Trento, together the University of Grenoble, the Montan-Leuben University, and the QUI Leuven. It is an European master degree in sustainable materials, so you have the double degree pathway with dual qualification recognition at the end. On one side, University of Milano-Bicocca, on the other side, KU in materials engineering by KU Leuven. And here you can see some detail, and then I hope that you will have the possibility to share with the people interested in this slide. You can have a first year in which you collect 6 credits related to fundamental and profiling course, and the second year in which you have the specialization courses and the thesis and the internship you can make this internship in different places, and you can choose among these possibilities that are listed here: Trento, Leuven, Grenoble, and Madrid. Moreover, there are other possibilities if you don't apply for the SUMA dual degree to go abroad and to experience, of course, an Erasmus traineeship, or for the thesis on exchange extra UA, also for the master thesis in several countries. And we have already some convention and some exchange with several universities that are listed here. So there are plenty of possibilities to go abroad, even if the starting point is Italy and University of Milano. Finally, career and professional opportunities. Here I have listed some of the possible professional opportunities that you can have at the end of the master in the research of development, in the field of energy and sustainability, electronics and semiconductor, industry and manufacturing. Think about it, we have a partnership, for instance, with Pirelli every year. Pirelli finance us throughout a consortium called CORIMAP, free grants for PhD, and also several of our previous students are now hired and working in Pirelli, and even Eni. Another good partner that we had for many years was, and still many students are hired by these companies, ST Microelectronics, in the field of electronics and of course semiconductors. So we have plenty of possibilities, especially because Milan is a very active and very, let's say, is the most, I would say, active economic environment of Italy in terms of companies and industrial opportunities. So some number, this is taken by the survey of Alma Laurea, is a famous website where you can find some statistic on the course. And as you can see, we have an employment rate very high, as well as a not bad salary to be the first one in terms of average net monthly income. So here you can find some links and content. Of course, the e-learning webpage where you can find more details on the courses and also also the content of the courses. There is a website of the department. There is the website of SUMA dual degree, and also the email address for any information that you need about the didactic activity of the Master in Materials Science and Nanotechnology. And thank you for your attention.
Okay, great. We'll go over to the next presenter, Professor Lange. Thank you.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm very happy that you're here. So I will present you our master's degree course that is entitled Economics and Technologies for Sustainability. Very differently from the course that you just heard, this master's degree course is a master's degree in economics, so far away from natural sciences in terms of the masters that you get. Very close though in terms of the topics, because this master's degree carries the title Economics and Technologies for Sustainability, because we will teach you both the economic part connected to sustainability implementation and the basis of the technologies for sustainability implementation. The course, although being a master's degree in economics, is located at the DSAT, which is a Department of Natural Sciences, which already shows you that this course is really a hybrid construct. We have in total 6 departments that are contributing with their professors and with their research areas to this master's degree course. Half of them are economic departments, half of them are natural sciences departments. This course is brand new. We started just in the last October, so we are currently doing the first year. We are in the middle of the activation of the second year, like all the other courses. And we are looking forward to our international students, because this is one of the new international study courses that the University of Milano-Bicocca offers. The course is centered around sustainability, and the obvious question is, why do you need a course centered around sustainability? You've heard in the previous presentation by Professor D'Arienzo that also the material science guys have obviously the aspect of sustainability when they talk about sustainability as sustainable materials, etc. In our chemistry degree course, we have a sustainability aspect. The point in the new course that we launched in October is that we want to treat sustainability in a very holistic way. That is why we need economics and natural sciences, and then not only material sciences, not only chemistry, not only biology, not only geology. We will teach you the whole bunch of it in the necessary details in order to make you a very new professional figure that we call sustainability specialist, that I will outline later on. So the motivation is, as I said, that we need to approach sustainability in essentially all the various areas of our daily life in all countries around the globe. That is why we did it as an international course. So you know that sustainability is often related to via these famous 17 goals, let's say, the global goals of sustainability that the United Nations generated as a very iconic, by now I would say, a very iconic picture of sustainability. If you look in detail at it, the situation is not as easy or not as straightforward as these tiles might show you, right? What it means is that in order to make it happen, we need sustainable resource management, we need sustainable production technologies, we have sustainable energy aspects. We need sustainability fostering business management and business planning, right? We need to be able to measure and quantify sustainability. So we need indicators, we need novel ways to describe how sustainable a company is, for example, by using certain types of resources rather than other types of resources. We need to work on societies in order to become sustainable. That goes everything from the energy complex of cities in order to city planning. Where do I put the roads? How do I put connectivities, public transport, etc.? And obviously, last but for sure not least, we need to communicate sustainability. So we you know, as the faculty where we have the course, we think that it is also important that you know how to communicate sustainability in the end, because you have maybe the chance to study this course, other courses. So anyway, you are among the highest educated people in your societies if you study at universities. So you need you are in a privileged position, and we think that you need to know how to use this privileged position in order to create awareness, right? To communicate to people that didn't have the chance to study what sustainability means, how you implement sustainability. You need to tell them that it is eventually complicated, but maybe also in little details, not at all complicated to implement sustainability. And that is another aspect that is closely related to these 17 sustainability goals. Now, why? We're still not doing the why, right? I'm still doing the how. Think of water. Water is a resource. You all know that. And depending on the country where you're coming from, you might know that water is a very scarce resource. Now, we have a lot of water on the planet, but we do not have a lot of drinking water on the planet, right? So water exists in different forms. Water is also something that we need in industry in order to cool reactors. Now, if you think of an energy plant, they have cooling systems. So water is good for a lot of aspects. So water is a resource, and we need to protect this resource, and we need to manage this resource. If you live in a country where it doesn't rain a lot, where you have deserts, etc., you know much more about water management than we might do in Europe, for example, on a practical level, right? But globally, we all need to learn how to deal with resources that might be more or less abandoned. So we can see water as an example for resources that have to be managed, and we will tell you how to manage these resources. If you think of water as a resource, that is just one thing. We have other resources, right? If you know a little bit of chemistry, the picture that you see now is very familiar to you. The picture that I show you is nothing else but the periodic table, where we have listed all the elements that exist on Earth. You see that some of them are green, some of them are yellow, orange, and some of them are red colored. The red color means that the natural resources for these elements are running out. So in the last let's say decades, right? 100 years, 150 years, we use a lot of these resources because we understood how to get them, where to find them, how to manipulate them in order to make, for example, the materials that you've heard in the previous talk, right? If we do that, now we're just humans, we see that something works, we continue doing it because it works fine, it makes our life easier, now we can harvest energy, we can eventually use the energy, etc. So we are doing what humans do. We are continuing something that is pretty well working. If we do that, however, we might have in the very near future a problem because we are consuming the resources that this planet provides. And so far, we do not have anything else but this planet. So what we need to learn is how many resources do we have? Where are they? And are they going to end? And if they are going to end, what do I do? Right? And the obvious question, maybe some of you already know, is that we need to recycle. So another part of this course is also to show you recycling. Because if we want to have a digitalization, for example, that we need in order to advance, not only advance technologically, but to advance in our efforts to become more sustainability on a planetary level, we need digitalization because the problems have reached a dimension that the human brain alone, without the help of a computer, will not manage. So if we would run out of the elements, for example, that are needed to construct computers, other electronic devices that will help us in a digitalized world in order to be more sustainable, we need to recycle them. We need to find them. Finding them is an interesting aspect, right? Because obviously, the computers that have already been built, the cell phones that we do not use anymore because they broke or we buy a new model, they are becoming novel resources for some of these elements. So we need to learn how to valorize novel resources. We have to identify novel resources, for example. These novel resources can be seen as something that is called nowadays novel entities. So whatever we produce in mass quantities as humans in our technologies generally, but also the plastics, also the stupid things like plastic bottles, etc., polymers, synthetic polymers that are around everywhere. We can see these things as novel entities. Novel entities means they are novel resources, not maybe natural resources, but they become resources. We manage to produce them in such quantities that their presence on this planet can be seen as a novel resource. So we need to teach you how to use these novel resources, and we need to teach you how to identify these novel resources, right? So that means these novel resources are basically our current waste. In a couple of years, or it's already started this transformation, our current waste will become a resource for the future, and you need to know to identify this new resource and to valorize it, obviously, right? To take it, to harvest it, and to valorize it in order to substitute the ending fossil, traditional, or natural resources with the novel ones, in order to enter in a very big loop of recycling, if you can imagine what I mean. All this has to be done in the context, and I already said that the context is our planet. So that's why we can talk about planetary boundaries, right? And if you think of our planet as the boundaries, these world maps are showing you basically what we have in order to use, apart from the novel entities, now the natural resources, etc. Problem always, the landmass is the same landmass, the oceans are always the same oceans. So if you just have a quick look at the following slides. So this is a map where you see where we have arid areas, more tropical areas where it rains, etc. The greener it is, or the more rain there is, and the better the vegetation grows, for example. That is important because if there is vegetation that grows, we could use the vegetation as a renewable feedstock, biomass. No, growing biomass is a renewable feedstock. That's a resource for the future eventually. Not everywhere in the world we can have this opportunity to use these novel resources, because if you take the desert areas, there is no biomass growing in the desert areas, right? If you think of the same aspects, so you need rain, you need good soil in order to grow crops, which would, for example, relate to the zero hunger sustainability game of the United Nations. We can think of areas where we can harvest maybe more than once a year. So we can do a double or triple cropping. And if you see where we can do a double and triple cropping, those are the same areas where we have a very nice possibility to grow quickly biomass. So we run into conflicts, right? We need to decide whether we use the land for growing crops to eat, or we use it for having biomass growing that we use as resources for creating then chemicals, for example, or fuels, etc. Or whether we want to have these areas to grow biomass that helps us in our battle against climate change, because we need the natural forest, because there's nothing else on Earth that fights CO2 levels as a natural forest. Now, so same areas. If you look at this map, same areas. This is the area where the soil is good. So these are really the areas where I want to grow crops, where I could grow really well crops so that they have high yields of the edible part, etc. Unfortunately, it's the same areas where we find minerals. So the question is, do I want to take the mineral, sacrifice the forest on top, or do I want to have the forest and I do not take the minerals out of the ground? Or do I work on novel technologies, novel chemistries, novel approaches in general in order to harvest minerals, in order not to destroy the nature on top, right, on the surface? If I have to dig a mine, normally that's not very compatible with a nice natural forest growing on the surface still, okay? So we need to have novel technologies for resource harvesting, and that is an important point. All this obviously requires energies, which brings us automatically to the energy sector, right? I need to make sustainable energy plans for my sustainable mining activities, for example. So you see that everything is very interconnected. And last but not least, it's connected to this. What you see here is a biodiversity heat map. You know that biodiversity, some of you might have heard the term biodiversity. Biodiversity, or we understand more and more, basically every year, that biodiversity is very, very closely connected to our well-being as humans on this planet. So what would be needed is to protect the biodiversity and to avoid that the decline that we have in biodiversity since the 50s, 60s, where we started really to industrialize in big parts of the world, is progressing, because otherwise we run into a deep issue, right? So, and if you look at the interesting places, right, it's always the same places on our planet where we have all the resources, where the crops grow, where the natural forests grow, where we have the biodiversity. And if you a little bit think about it, it's not surprising at all that it is always the same areas, right? That makes it really challenging to look at each the single aspects that we need in order to maintain standards of living, increase standards of living, fighting global challenges like climate change, etc., while using the resources that we have on a planetary level. Because, as I said, despite the last efforts, etc., to go in space, etc., our planet will be, for the next hundreds of years, our planet, and that's the resources, right? So we need to learn to deal with them in a much better way than we do currently. Now, this is another picture that some of you might have seen. So whatever you think of, whatever aspect that I just mentioned, and other aspects that go beyond this, whatever you think of, everything is, unfortunately, as you know, very much interconnected. Unfortunately, in the sense that it makes it very complicated to find solutions, right? It's a real challenge. But it's all connected to sustainability, and we need this long-term sustainable development. So in order to bring you in a head position, in order to tackle the modern problems, and to eventually implement in your communities, cities, companies, wherever you find yourself, sustainability, because we need to work on every level on sustainability, we have thought of this course. So in this course, we will try, or we hope to teach you how to realize sustainability, how to implement sustainability, measure sustainability, because obviously, right, if I implement sustainability, I somehow have to quantify its progress or its success, how to guarantee future sustainability. So we try to make you a sustainability specialist. This sustainability specialist is a person that is not an economics guy, that is not a scientist, a hardcore scientist, but it's someone that can communicate, be it with the management level, so understanding basic economic concepts, and a person that can talk to the, let's say, more technical part, to the engineers, to the chemists, to the production people, right? So you are in the middle. If you think of a company context, like this figure tries to suggest, you're in the middle, okay? You're the central person that makes sustainability happen in the company, being able to connect logically, intellectually to all the worlds that are within a company, okay? Now, this sustainability specialist can exist in a more economic fashion, in a fashion that is more focusing on resources and production contexts, or in a fashion that is focusing on a renewable energy context. And so we have courses that you can see as three main pillars that will teach you aspects within the economics part. So you're a sustainability specialist more towards the economics part of sustainability. So a sustainability description in terms of economic key figures in companies, indicators of sustainability, ESG aspects, etc. We can have you as you can choose courses to become a sustainability specialist for the resource and production areas. So you learn how to manage resources, what are novel resources, how to manage the non-renewable resources, how to implement renewable resources, how to produce sustainable materials in the sense that they are recyclable, following the concept, for example, green by design, that they are compatible with health standards, which are currently always changing, etc. Or you become the third different figure that we can offer. It's a figure that is more focusing on green energy aspects. So you will learn different energy technologies and different ways to harvest energies, obviously sustainable energies, You will learn, however, also how conventional energies work, because it's green, guys. It's not always sustainable, right? And if I'm sustainable, I might not be green. The question is always in the certain, context wise, do I want to be green? Is it better to be sustainable? Do I have a chance to be now sustainable, and then later, with a little bit more time, I become also green, etc. Right? So, especially in the energy sector, that is a very, very tricky question sometimes. So, you will learn all the basis for the different energy types, in order to then understand how to make an energy plan, for example, for a company, for a city. Okay, so a person that is more focusing on energy. We have obviously 2 years. We have some standard courses which are for the economic figures. We have standard courses for the production and resource people. We have other courses for the energy context, obviously, right? If you have access to the slides, you can look at the names of the courses by yourself. We have obviously, together with those specialized courses, we have courses which are maybe useful for all of the 3 figures, depending where you see yourself in the future context. Do you want to work for a company? Do you want to work for public administration? Do you want to work as a freelancer? Do you want to work in an NGO, for example, right? So we have different courses that accompany the mandatory courses, and other courses free of choice, or that you can choose from, to become one of the professional figures. And to round up basically your personal idea of you being a sustainability specialist. Where do you see yourself in the future? What do you think you need in order to be the most perfect sustainability specialist in your context where you want to find yourself after having studied? Some courses are obligatory, some courses you can choose from. We have lots of choices. You're basically very free to design your personal sustainability specialist figure. Obviously, there will be professors, right, myself and lots of other professors that will give you a hand, right? We will discuss, we will guide you to your choices if they are not, to make sure that you are not missing an important part, or that you are not going too single-sided, right? Because the idea was, as you remember, we want to teach you holistically what sustainability is about. So we will guide you a little bit, but I promise you that you have really a lot of choices. We are international as an international course. I go ahead a little bit faster. So we are international. So that means we teach everything obviously in English. We have a very innovative didactic concept. So you will have lots of hands-on laboratory courses. We have lots of interactive ways to do the teaching. We want you to work. We need you to work, because obviously this course is multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, and interdisciplinary. So we know that you come from different backgrounds, and your fellow students will probably have a different background than yourself. So you all find yourself merged in this master's degree course. You have to work together. We will make you working together so that you learn the view of a natural science person, for example. If someone, for example, studied natural environmental sciences in the bachelor's degree, and that person has then to work together with someone that studied a more typical bachelor of economics, for example. Right, so we will make you work together so that you learn the perspective of the other people, of the other person that you are talking to, in order to open up your mind to see problems from the other perspectives, etc. Okay, so that is obviously better if you do peer-to-peer learning, if you do flipped classrooms, all these modern didactic concepts that help you to get a hands-on experience as much as possible. It takes 2 years, 120 credits. Obviously, we have it planned in a way that we do each semester 30 credits in order to be compatible with other European courses, because we want you also to go on Erasmus. For example, you could go on Erasmus. We have lots of destinations across Europe. You could do your thesis everywhere in the world if you like. That is, so we planned it to be absolutely compatible. So you have the maximum freedom within the European framework to study, for example, a semester in Spain, or if you like to go to the north, you can go to Sweden, do some biorefinery, for example, in Sweden, or you do some LCA analysis in Spain if you like it, etc., etc. So you have a lot of flexibility. As I said, we designed it in order to be very compatible. We are new, but I'm already, together with my colleagues, we are already working at the first revision, because we are part, or the Bicocca is part of the European University Alliance Invest, and we try to get this course to be part of Invest. So I'm heavily working on having a double degree with the university in France. That will be, however, from 28 onwards. So for some of you, it might be okay. For some of you, it might take too long. But I promise you that even without being officially a double degree, you have lots of possibilities to spend a semester in one of our partner universities, and we have very good connection to any of the universities that you see on the slide, for example, and to lots of other universities via the different professors that have their personal connections, right? So you have really a lot of possibilities to move within Europe in order to broaden as much your possibilities to study. With this, I think I have finished the presentation. So if you have any questions, obviously now here, or you send an email to one of the 2 email addresses that you see. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much as well. And I'd like to thank both professors for their presentations. If we can have also, yes, great, all of you back. Thanks, because now we're going to the Q&A. So there have already been a lot of questions that have been submitted. So we'll go through most of them. I hope we can answer most of them. If they're very personal questions on your personal status, or then maybe we have to come back to you after the session. And then they can still reach out to you. And we do have all the questions. Also, just to emphasize, people watching the recording, you can all participate in all the interactive options as well. So if you have any questions, you can still write them. And also you can answer the polling questions. So I'm going to open up the last polling question actually right now, just to see if we're still missing a topic or so, but we're probably going to cover some of that already. So let's go over to the questions. Yeah, there were some couple of questions I saw about I think it's called the CIMEA, if I'm not mistaken. That was, I think, from the first presentation. What is the deadline for submitting it, is the question, for example.
Hello, everyone. So if the CIMEA certificate is taking a long time to be issued, there is not a problem. You can initially upload the payment receipt as a proof that you have requested and paid for the CIMEA. In this case, if you are admitted, your admission will be under condition until you upload the CIMEA certificate. Once you upload it, it will be reviewed, and if everything is correct, your admission will become fully confirmed without any conditions. If you are still waiting to obtain your qualification, the relevant deadlines are for the high school diploma. The deadline is July 31st. And for a bachelor's degree, the deadline is August 31st. As soon as you obtain your diploma, you can immediately apply for the CIMEA certificate.
Great. Thank you, Francesco, for that clarification about the CIMEA. I should have said that correct. So the question in addition to that is, not sure that was answered, but is it mandatory for pre-enrollment? And also, when is the pre-enrollment date?
For CIMEA, it's not mandatory for all students. In general, it may become required during the credential evaluation process if the admission office specifically requests to have it for your individual case. So in that situation, it will be mandatory for you. However, if you have not received any requests for a CIMEA integration, then you can rest assured that it will not be needed.
Okay. And when is the pre-enrollment date?
So at the moment, there is no confirmed opening date for the University pre-enrollment. As of yesterday, it was still closed, and unfortunately, this is not something we have control over. As soon as it opens, we will send an email to all admitted students to inform them immediately.
Thank you again. I hope that is all clarified about that process. Question from Ardalan about, for the program Economics and Technologies for Sustainability, what kind of practical projects or industry collaborations does the program offer?
Okay, so we have both a stage, so an internship basically in that you can do in industries and in companies, and we have the thesis project that you can combine with the stage, or you do it separately. So we have industry contacts, so we can send you to different industries. It depends obviously what courses you choose and how you specialize during the master, right? So if you work, for example, let's take obviously energy example, maybe it's more direct. It's if you take the courses for specializing on sustainable energy aspects, we could send you to one of the energy companies in Italy, for example, where you do your stage in order to learn hands-on what they are doing in order to become more sustainable as a company in that sector. Coming back, you could do your thesis with one of our faculty members, working on working out a thesis for your work. Then, depending on how you like it or how you construct it, as I said, you can do the thesis eventually together with the company, in the company. So all models are possible to do. Hands-on training during the studies is mainly before entering the stage and project phase is mainly via laboratory. So we do a lot of case studies. You will have to do searches online, etc. So we prepare you as much as possible for the stage, right? If you go into the companies in order to get there the real industrial hands-on experience. Stage in companies, stage in NGOs. You could also go to an NGO. You go to the public administration, right? Depending, as I said, we give you a lot of possibilities to shape yourself in a way that you fit best into your imagined future, where you want to see yourself as a professional later on. So there's, it's not that I can tell you not a fixed thing, right? It depends highly on your choices, how you construct it.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I hope that answered that question. Question from Luis Antonio about the cost of living. If you could say something about that. I also see in the polling, actually, it was one of the top feedbacks as well, information people are still looking for, cost of living, and then actually about if there's campus to live as well. Maybe first, cost of living. Can you say something about that?
So yeah, Milan is a beautiful and very international city. However, it is also true that it's kind of expensive. It can be difficult at the beginning, in particular finding housing. However, is also important to consider that our university offers on-campus residences for students. These residences are offered according to the right of education principles to students who meets the requirement to obtain accommodation at reduced price. And we also offer alternative solution to on-campus accommodations with a cooperative, La Cordata, in order to support students in finding suitable off-campus housing options. So yes, it's an expensive city living in Milan. However, as you can see, we do offer options to try and find housing here.
Great. Okay, thank you. So I think that was covering cost of living, I hope. And is the chance there for campus? I understand there's not directly a campus, but it would be living in the city, right?
We do offer accommodations. We have like a university accommodation. We also have other options, however, because it can be given, let's just say that, to all the students, all international students that come.
Exactly. Great, thank you for clarifying. Okay, well, about the program of Materials Science and Nanotechnology, Afa was wondering with a degree of microbiology if he's able to apply. Professor D'Arienzo, you're on mute. Yeah, I think
Sorry.
someone's speaking. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Go.
No, I guess you can apply. Then, of course, there is a colloquium about the interview, let's say, about your competencies in order to pick and also to try to align the competencies before starting the course. But I guess yes.
Thank you. Question from Faisa. Faisa already applied, and I think there were a couple more people that have already applied. When can they expect to receive admission decision about their application?
So we do not have a confirmed timeline for when admission decisions will be released, but we thank you for your patience. We are currently handling a very high volume of applications, which may affect processing times, but we appreciate your understanding and we will notify you as soon as the decision is available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And there were a couple of people that wondered about some of the slides for economics and technologies for sustainability for that presentation. So there was a couple of people asking for that. I don't know if that is something that can be given. I just, from my side, I can say the webinar is recorded. So if you want to rewatch something, you can, of course, always watch the recording. But yeah, I don't know if the professor wants to comment on that.
Well, I mean, I went quite quickly through the course details, right? So therefore, if you, but I mean, I don't know, Anna, what do you think? I think we can share them, right? I mean, some of the pictures are just general pictures, so or alternatively, I make a very light version where I have only the details for the courses, etc.
Yeah.
And I will send you, as soon as we finish later today, I send you that slide without the introductory part, but only the technical part.
Yes, I think that
maybe that's better.
Yes,
I will send you a version that you can share.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Yes, there will be some follow-up emails. Just to clarify, we will send everybody the recording from our end. And there's probably then an email coming from the university that they will reach out to you, likely with some links also where to apply these things as well. So I hope that takes care of that. Let's see, I think there are some people more interested in applying. That's good. Housing we covered. And let's see, there's some other. So John, maybe to clarify, he has a BTech in environmental technology and a master's in environmental education and management, and wants to apply for the technology for sustainability master. So what's the chances for admission?
Well, I mean, he will undergo a credential check, but I think he will pass the credential check as far as I see it from the graduate. Then we will do an academic check. We have some requirements in terms of a minimum number of credits in statistics and mathematics, and eventually also in economics. That is a that has been defined based on Italian division of fields that is not one-to-one transposable to international courses, let's say. So we do a one-to-one assessment of the transcripts that they send. So we look at the courses that they had in detail and that they passed. And based on that, we will decide whether they have the minimum number, the minimum requirement, and then they will pass on to the interview. And then in the interview, we will check the mental flexibility and how they deal with unknown issues, etc. And then that's it. Right. So for John, I mean, I encourage him to apply, because if he has a environmental technology and etc., then I'm pretty sure that he has the minimum things. And normally those guys studying these types of topics have the minimum requirements. So I'm pretty. I do not promise anything, right? I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying that from what I see now, you are not in a bad position. So I would encourage you to apply.
Great. Good to hear. Thank you. And that goes maybe for smaller people with their specific backgrounds asking. So in that case, follow the same instructions as just given. Question from Andika. So there's a question about the tuition. How can I search the info about the actual tuition fees?
You can find all the most important information on our website, Dream Apply. Basically, you will find in the homepage a series of infos where all the most important information that you need are. Sorry, I explained this extremely bad, but basically, yeah, on the homepage of Dream Apply, you will find all the information that you seek.
Okay, I'm going to share the link for everyone.
Thank you.
It's coming up on the screen right now. You see it flying in. So that's the link that if you click on that, it will actually go to the portal where you can apply. So click on that, and then at your own pace after the webinar, you can have a look. This goes for all application information around that as well. Let's see if there are some other general questions. There are a couple of people that have the specific backgrounds. I think it's best to come back to them after the sessions. So Yasmin is wondering, as a non-EU citizen residing in Italy, can she apply for eligibility? Is eligible, to apply for the Bicocca University scholarship of 10,000?
I can answer to this one. As I said, you don't really need to apply specifically for this benefit. You are automatically considered eligible, then admitted to any program entirely taught in English. So don't really need to apply specifically to that scholarship.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. All right. Let's see. Sagar is asking, if you share about students who have been selected for the merit scholarship? Are they informed, I guess?
It depends if she's referring to Bicocca International Scholarship. Yes, the list of students are published on the list of students eligible are published on our website, and of course they are informed because they need to confirm within few days in order to be considered and secure the scholarship.
Great, thank you. I'm going to take one of the backgrounds. That was a couple of people have similar backgrounds, it seems, in business administration, and wondering if they're eligible to apply for the Master in Economics and Technology for Sustainability. So maybe that one we can quickly check how the situation is.
I mean, it's a master's in economics, right? So if you have a bachelor's in economics, you are eligible. So because the minimum requirements are mainly on economics topics, so normally you do not have a problem to fulfill the minimum requirements to be eligible. So yeah, if you have, I mean, you just make just apply, and if you make it to the interview, then we will see whether you can also deal with things that you didn't learn in a bachelor for economics, right? That's a part of our interview. but for applying, you are definitely eligible. Yes.
Great. Thank you. I see some questions are coming into the chat as well, and I think Francesco is already also answering some of them. Thanks for that. Just to highlight, yeah, because it can in the chat be difficult sometimes, and we might skip them to send them through to the question box, the panel there, so that we make sure we don't miss out. And if we've missed one of your questions, because maybe it's just a personal situation, again, we can come back to you later. So don't worry about it if we're not answering all the questions right now, because yeah, there are quite a lot of questions, and some might be really specific to you. So, for example, about the eligibility on several backgrounds that were given. I think we have answered most of the questions though by now. So there was a question, I think maybe just to clarify from Valeria, I think you answered it. Can I apply for another program during the current call if I've already applied for 3 programs during the previous call? I think, Francesco, you answered it.
Yeah, it's maximum 3 programs per application. So that's the answer.
Exactly, just for everybody to know. So that's the case, if this also applies to you. All right, thank you. And Kalu was just asking about the euro, 150 euro deposits. If you could explain that. Who can say something about that?
I think I can say it. So when you are admitted, you receive the offer letter, and in order to secure your position and confirm the acceptance of the program, you need to pay 150 euros by credit card. With that, you are enrolled.
Okay, so we're getting the okay from Kalu as well. Thank you. And we're going to the last minutes, just to take any last question.
If you don't mind, I saw just I just saw 2 questions regarding other bachelor degrees that might qualify or not for economics and technologies. So one is in physics, and one was geology, if I remember correctly from the chat now. So it's not. I mean, you're not. I mean, it's since the course is transdisciplinary, we do not exclude anyone a priori. Okay, so if you have a bachelor in physics, and very often, even in physics, you do very basic economics topics. You for sure did statistics, right? Lots of statistics, mathematics, probably, etc. So since we do the evaluation, as I said, based on the transcripts, I would invite you to apply. And then we leave it to the admission commission to evaluate the details of your transcripts. And then if that is okay, so if the commission thinks that you did the correct amount of economics and the correct amount of statistics based on what we learn from your transcripts, right? So the transcripts are very important to submit, guys. Then we eventually admit you if it's okay. If you have 1 GFU in economics, that might not be enough, right? So I mean, you know what you studied. If there is a little bit of economics, statistics, etc. inside, you might be okay. So, but without seeing the transcripts, I cannot say anything, right? So.
Yeah, so I think that also goes for Martin, who's just wondering about that, not having been selected. I think it is maybe good to get in touch then directly with the staff. Also check out the website as given here. So some might be your specific situations. So that's good to come back and directly be in contact. Yeah, so let's see. We have a question from Shakrui asking about when classes are starting. Is it the same for both programs? Is it both in September?
Yes. Normally, our academic year starts in September, end of September normally.
Okay. So that should take care of that. Okay. I think we have answered pretty much all questions, and we're getting some thank yous already from the audience, so that's good to see. That's what we do it for. We want to make sure that things are clear, and yeah, we answer your questions. I'm aware maybe some questions might not have been answered if there's really specific cases, so do get in touch. Do also check out the website here. So that is also in the link section under apps at the bottom. So if you click on that, you'll find the links there as well, and also to the program pages. So they're all there. And you can expect still a follow-up email from the specific program and from us as well. So with having said that, I'd like to thank everybody for having joined and for answering the polls as well. I actually have a last polling question. And so before we round off, I'd like to open that one up. Just to grade us, you can now actually grade the professor. So by all means, do that. Thank you for your feedback, and let us know how we did. If there's any comments, of course, constructive comments, we are welcome. Please do let us know via the chat, or if there's any suggestion how we can improve these sessions for you, because again, we make them for you and want to make sure they meet your needs and expectations. And having said that, from my end, thanks everyone, especially, of course, the panel, the professors. Thank you very much for having joined, and also the support staff, Francisco, Julia, and Anna, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Luke.
Last word maybe over to you, Anna. Last word for you.
So yes, thank you again to all students that join us today for this webinar, and we really hope to see you in university next year, or in the next years. So for any doubt or question, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.